In fact, pardon.
Thank you, sir. First of all, let me just give a small review what we have done yesterday, because then only we will be able to relate it. So, good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Ruchika. I just want to give you a quick recap what we have done yesterday, and then I will continue with the today's session. Let me just share the screen with you all. Yesterday we tried to understand in a very layman understanding what is ethnographic research, how generally we conduct field research, and how ethnographic research can be a different philosophy altogether as compared to the field research. Are we supposed to stay back? Like I have given you the example where we are supposed to see the cyclical situations where we are able to understand the research how ethnographic research can be conducted. Because somehow this shows more authentic research as compared to the field survey which we generally do during the empirical data collection and descriptive studies. I have given you the reference of this paper where the ethnographic researchers try to understand the responses of the consumers, how they do use the e-commerce websites, what are their perspective. So even with the help of ethnographic research, you as a researcher can tell the company managers, can tell the owner of the organizations that on what area the improvement can be there, so that the company even work on the multi-channel or omni-channel strategies as well. Because in today's scenario, when we talk about omni-channel and multi-channel strategies of a company is not only working on the e-commerce websites, even a customer wants to get switched from one platform to another platform in a very easy way. But by implying all those strategies, company do fails. So ethnographer researchers can help the company owners to understand that how omni-channel studies can be helpful, what are the improvements that could take place in the omni-channel and multi-channel with the help of ethnographic researchers. I have discussed, even I am going to discuss more based on the papers which are published today. So that was one of the paper on the ethnographic inquiry in psychology published by IIT Kanpur, Kumar Ravi Priya and Girishwar Mishra, that I am going to discuss is today. How we are supposed to access the field, because there could be a lot of rages, racial, classes, gender discrimination. As a female, sometimes it gets very tougher for a researcher to go and collect the primary data from the organization. Now, there is one question which is being asked yesterday, that what are the documents or what are the bodies through which we are supposed to take the permission. So, in that case, my answer is because I was knowing that it will be depending upon the person or to the researcher who is supposed to conduct the research. But then, too, we are having some kind of GDPR facilities, General Data Protection Regulation. If we are going to follow the guidelines of GDPR, I think that will be much more helpful for the researchers to see the ethics and the regulations, that what are the different ways to conduct the research in that case. Because we are not supposed to, disturb the identity of the people. So, if this is a government project, this is a responsibility of the government to take care of everything. They themselves will give you the permission, but if you are conducting a private research, in that case, just follow the guidelines of GDPR. That how the data should be protected, how the identity should not be disclosed. So by seeing the regulations, the things could be done. Now we have seen the physical, psychological, social, and economical risk also yesterday. Then we have seen the emic and ethic perspective. Even I have added one more slide today on the emic and ethic perspective, so that it could come like a very clear picture. I would like to give you that how and in what circumstances the emic and ethic perspective of ethnographic research comes. But there is one thing which we all should understand, that the research paper cannot be published whole solely on the based of emic either or ethic. It will always be a combination of emic and ethic perspective from the ethnographic researcher point of view. So it is not possible to publish the papers only on emic, either emic or ethic. It's always a combo. So I'll be talking something on the emic and ethic perspective today as well. Then we have seen few examples how do the ethnographic researchers can work in different diversions. Then I have told you the hierarchy, that how to how the ethnographic research could be conducted. It is not compulsory that you are supposed to conduct it with the people. It could be on a for a place. It could be for a certain activity, maybe a certain occasion, festival. Then it is, as I have discussed with you, that it is a kind of inductive and iterative process. When I'm saying that it is a inductive and iterative process, you have to understand that we are working from data to model. And if it is a emic perspective, we are not following any kind of conceptual and theoretical perspective. I'll make you clear regarding this. Then we have seen the participant observations. In general, it means that when, as a observer, you move into the society, you move into the group of people, you have been called as a participant observer. So it could be like 1 hour to 1 year. So in general, in a day, it could be 1 hour to 14 hours. And in general, the ethnographer researchers takes minimum 1 month and maximum, 5 to 10 years also, just to reach to any conclusions. So middle class, not middle class, sorry, that could be a wrong term. I mean to say like middle kind of researches which are taking place, not who are working in a private college and hardly they are getting time. In that case, the data collection time could vary between 6 months to 1 year, not more than that. But if you are getting a good stipend, you are a JRF qualifier, you are on a government payrolls, then in that case, it will be the feasibility of collecting the data will be much more longer. Then how to understand when the ethnographic research is being done. I have given you many examples yesterday. Then there are certain methodological principles like naturally move into the crowd, collect the data, understand their culture, learn their languages. Don't keep the translators with you. So rather than keeping the translator, try to learn their language, because then only the repo with those people will create. Otherwise, there will not be any kind of strong repo. Somehow, the repo may be created with the translator, not with you. And then discovery of certain principles, discovery of certain theoretical concepts, theories, theoretical framework. Then we have seen that the ethnography can be used to study the everyday context with the help of observations and informal conversations with the people with whom you are conducting the research. We have seen some summary guidelines for the fieldwork, for interviewing people, open ended question, one question at a time. Now, whenever we are just giving the proof of data, if there is a possibility of presenting some memos, some documents, some brochures, some website links, newsletters, then I think in that case it will be much more authentic. And as an ethnographic researcher, it will be much more easy to analyze the things. So even at the time of analysis, and there is one more thing, the ethnographic researcher collect the data and analyze the data simultaneously. It is not like that let me just complete the data like what we do in the empirical research. We initially collect the data, and then after the collection we start doing or using the statistical tools. But in ethnographic research, there is one thing which is very common. If suppose I have collected the data initially for 1 month, And then when I'm entering into the second month, obviously there will be a comparison. Then in the first month, there is a less intimacy with the people. In the second month, my intimacy with the people has increased. So I will be able to get much more micro data from the people as compared to the first month. So automatically the comparison of data from first month to second month will take place. So in ethnographic research, it is not like that. That once the data will be collected after 1 year, then only we will start analyzing it. No, in the ethnographic research, we collect the data and simultaneously, we analyze the data. We find out what are the patterns, what are the patterns which are repeating over and over again. And then we spend some more hours with the respondents. That could be a changed policy in between. So unless until you will analyze those things, you will not be able to change in the strategies which you are supposed to implement for the next month. Now ethics, we have seen, and I have already said that in ethics, like somebody has asked me yesterday, that as such there is no strong body. As a private researcher, you are not supposed to take permission, but yes, you can follow the rules and regulations of GDPR. So you have to go through. If I'll get the opportunity, then I will definitely talk about GDPR. This is a whole solely a different topic, which talks about what are the laws which we are supposed to follow, the ethical regulations to be followed when we are collecting the data, then how to interpret, analyze, and finding the reports. And as we have said, ethnographic research is a qualitative description, although we do collect data on a quantitative norms also. But ethnographic research is more of a qualitative description based study. And then digital ethnography is in today's scenario. So, after understanding the basic thing about the ethnographic research, how this ethnographic research could be helpful in the management research. In management, generally, what happens, we are supposed to find out something by not giving so much time. In generally, we are not into a lab, because what happens whenever we are conducting something in a lab, we know that unless until I will not be able to get the fine results, I will not leave that place. But in management, if you are able to understand the culture, the language, the emotions of the people, then it becomes very easy. But it could take a, like, it will be depending upon the ethnographic researchers. It could, the ethnographic researchers can take lesser time, or sometimes they take more than the required time also to understand the culture and ethnicity of the people. So it is not possible for the management researchers, by following the ethnographic research, to stay back with the people. In today's scenario, it is very tough. So, what is the solution? That the management researchers works on the time sampling. And what is time sampling? Time sampling says that suppose we have half an hour to observe some group of people. Then for the next 30 minutes, after every 5 minutes, I will be observing the population for 10 seconds. I'm repeating it again. That time sampling is often adopted, which says that you are not supposed to stay back with the crowd. You will be observing them, because sometimes what happens, while you are observing them for the whole day, there could be n number of activities which are not related with your research. For an example, if you want to see that how do they behave at the time of shopping, so definitely the person will not be shopping for the whole day. There will be a certain occasion, there will be a certain time period when the person will be going to shop things. And sometimes it is also not possible. As I have discussed yesterday, there is some physical risk also. You cannot ask the respondent that can I come with you when you are going for a shopping. The respondent may say that you can come with me for the initial 20 minutes, or for the initial 30 minutes, but not for the whole journey which I will spend in the mall, or maybe on a road particularly. So you can spend like 30 minutes, hardly 1 hour, not more than that. In that situation, time sampling works. You are supposed to measure very closely, because you can't see the respondent 30 minutes regularly. It is not possible. So what you have to do, like every after 5 minutes, 10 seconds, or 20 seconds or 30 seconds, depending upon the requirement of the study. You can observe the respondent that what is actually happening, how the person is behaving. Is the person interested to purchase goods from one shop, or the person is not interested to explore the whole stuff? Very soon, maybe after 10 to 20 seconds, the person is able to take the decision that I will not take goods from this particular shop. So, for the management studies, ethnographic research is little bit molded here. We, as an ethnographic research, when we are conducted in management, we do often use sampling, where we are not supposed to stay back with the person. Now, whenever we are writing a paper and when we are quoting that we are using the ethnographic research, we have to take care of certain things. The Because in this ethnographic research, you are collecting data primarily. This is the first hand information which you are taking from the market, from the place, from the research place, basically. So there are certain things primarily you are supposed to note down, which will be one of the important thing when you will be writing the paper, that when your data collection started, what was the time, till what time you have collected the data, what was your location, who was present at that location, or is there any sequence of events or any specific event on which you have been there to collect the data. And when you were just collecting the data, is there any kind of interruptions? For an example, when you have been there in an organization and you are just want to observe the working of the associate professors. So when you basically wants to see that how do they behave with the students in the classroom when certain number of questions are being asked. So if there is a locality or there is a management college and the management college is situated in a place where there is no regular supply of electricity, for an example, and there is no proper road, the infrastructure is too bad. So there could be a number of interruptions can be there, which will automatically, directly or indirectly, give the agitation to the faculty that somebody is there to observe me and I am not able to concentrate. Somehow that artificialness, should not overcome at that particular time. But then also there could be n number of interruptions which could be there, and at that time the observer may not be able to observe the right thing out of those professors. And we, as a researcher, as an ethnographic researcher, we are not supposed to observe things only for a day. So when, there is a very simple example. In most of the management colleges, we have the cameras in the faculty rooms. So when the first day we came to know that there is a camera, there could be a very formal approach that could be followed. But once we know that the people can go and come, but the camera will still there on the wall. So after some time, maybe after 1 month or 2 months, and now the scenario is this, that wherever we will go, we know that we even that has become a part of our life. We know that the camera is there, and it is not that we behave artificially 24 into 7. It is not possible. So the same thing happens in the ethnographic research as well. When the person knows that there is an observer who will be there for 1 month, maybe for 6 months, for 1 year, how much artificial behavior I can showcase to them. Now, primarily, these are the things which are to be shown, noted down, and secondary observation in the form of any statements by others about what you observe. Because whatever you are seeing, you have to write down in your statements as well, that what is your interpretation about the scenario. Like for an example, when the associate professor are not happily, or the assistant professors are not happily, you know resolving the issues of the student, and they know the solution but they are not ready to give the solution to the student, maybe they are tired or something else. So you have to note down that observation in the statement. What is your observation? And the experimental data should also be noted down, that as per your state of mind, emotions and reflections, what did you understand? So that is why whenever we ask the ethnographers to go into the field and collect the data, there is a certain kind of training which is required to collect the data. So how to understand the environment, how to understand the culture, what you are supposed to take from the culture as well. You cannot take each and everything which is there, and even all the time you cannot understand the things by your own view. if you are understanding things by your own view, half of the research will go fail. It will not be a successful attempt to collect the data, because again you are using your own mindset for the interpretation. So you have to be very blank. You should not be biased. You should not be preoccupied with n number of things in your mind. You should be very blank, and you should always observe the data by keeping the research questions and research objectives in your mind. You're not supposed to get attached, uh, get attached with the respondents that it happens in the institutions when the faculty is tired. No, not like that. So certain biasness should be removed. You are not supposed to carry any theories in your mind, especially when we are conducting the emic perspective research in ethnography. Now, in ethnographic research, as I said, that we somehow believe at the end of the data collection that there has to be some impact in the theory building. We try to work on the theoretical perspective as well. So the theoretical perspectives are also meant, and we yes, 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 ma'am, yes, ma'am. Yes, Ritu ma'am. Hello. Okay. Ritu ma'am, you are asking something?
Maybe by mistake that hand sign is reflecting.
Okay, fine. Okay, okay, fine. So, Rajesh sir, is that clear what I am telling right now?
Oh yes,
Okay, fine.
it's clear. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so in ethnographic research, if it is a emic perspective research, we try to end up with the theory building. Now, in general, what we do, we conduct literature review in two ways. There is a pre-literature review and there is a literature review. So before identifying the topic of a study, we do conduct a pre-literature review as well. In ethnographic research, we can we always take the help of literature review, because whatever constructs, whatever variables we will try to find out with the help of coding, we would like to get those variables validated with the help of literature review, the papers which we have collected. So, literature review is one thing which is very common. The kind of literature review which we do in the descriptive or explorative research, the same literature review study is required to be done in ethnography as well in the beginning. But yes, we sometimes in ethnographic research, the literature review collection, your data collection, and your analysis, all things go together. Because if there is something which is coming very new in front of you after conducting the ethnographic research, you try to get it verified with the literature which you have selected, because that verification from the literature will help you in framing the theory building. So the objective of the theory, with whatever the theory is being made, is not to challenge anything, not to predict. The main idea of the theory building is to give additional things in the theories or the variables which are already existed. So whenever there is any event or conversation or description which is taking place, we are supposed to provide a very explanatory note, whatever coding or keywords we are supposed. Suppose if I found, suppose for an example, I have taken a caselet, I have taken a paper where there is an absenteeism of the school students were taking phenomenally, like they were like absent sometimes whenever there is a tough chapter, and they were not interested to go to the colleges or the schools on a regular basis. But when you have conducted ethnographic research with them, you came to know that rather than the faculty, the infrastructure is not so good, so the students are not interested to go, because maybe in summers there are different issues, in winter there are different issues. So maybe the possibility is that whatever you are getting out of your ethnographic research, that variable is not there in the literature review, and in that case you are helping with that variable into the existing variable, so it helps in the theory building as well, the variable building. So additional new variables you are able to find out, and those variables can become a part of the existing theories or the existing literature. Once the new variables, the new points, new codings, new theoretical perspective is in your mind with the help of data collection, you try to get it validated with the responses which you have received. Like for an example, if I say infrastructural issue, I am supposed to go back and check in the qualitative response which I have received, is that really there are students who have complained about the infrastructural issues or not. So every time, whenever a new construct or a new variable, a new code, a new keyword, if you could find it out, get it validated as quick as possible with the responses which you have received, plus with the literature review which is there with you. So and that is why, most of the time we try to get it validated with the theories, because if it is not existed in the literature, definitely it could be a new variable. But yes, if it is somehow related with the literature, we can put it in a very different theoretical context. So the theory building is one of the main thing which is generally happens with the help of ethnographic research. So find out something new, may be, could be correlated with the existing literature, could not be correlated with the existing literature. Now whenever we conduct the research, especially ethnographic research, the kind of data which is collected is structured as well as unstructured data, because we are trying to talk to the people initially. I will show you what kind of questions and how the responses, what kind of responses are received. We collect the data, we conduct semi interviews, we conduct formal sessions, we conduct informal sessions. So it is not necessary that all the time you will be getting a very structural formation of the data. The possibility is that the data could be structured as well as the data could be unstructured. But yes, as an ethnographer, you are supposed to bring a particular order into that particular data sheet. So whatsoever data is being collected, try to take that data into a particular order. And do remember one thing, that ethnographic researchers do the data collection and analysis, and that could be simultaneous as well. Because whatever theories you are framing on the basis of some data, you are supposed to get it tested and validated. And that particular process is known as analytical induction as well. It is an induction, it is an inductive study. So when you are able to find out there is something new, there is some different theory, there is some different variable, try to get it validated from the literature, or you can get it validated from the responses which you have received. And that particular process is known as an analytic induction. Now when you begin to collect data, you sometimes you try to find out or have a feeling that a lot of data is being collected now, and you may think about it that the data is collected more, I think I should now start processing the data. So try to enter into an initial analysis. And as I told you, that if you are entering into a second month data, try to have a comparison of second month data with the first month data. And sometimes even in ethnographic research, what happens, your first month data is entirely different from the second month data, because in first month people were conscious, they know that somebody is observing them. And when they become habitual, they are showing the real life to you. You are able to see the real life as an ethnographic researcher. So in that case, you are supposed to see that which month of data is much more valuable for you as compared to the first month data. Once the data is collected, you start doing the coding process. Try to group the same kind of data, and based on the same kind of data, you try to give them some headings after finding out certain pattern. So like my one paper is published, as I have told you that there is one research scholar of mine who was working on FOMO. So when I could see that people want, most of the respondents have given me the response that they want to stay back in their home, but few of them were saying that when they feel that they are missing out, they start eating more. So those who have given me the responses in terms of eatable habits are changed, I have put all those people in one group. I try to find out a pattern, that who else are talking about the eatable habits, who else are talking about the traveling habits, who else are talking about just locking themselves in a room when they feel that they are missing out. So based on the frequency and pattern, try to give them a coding, and that particular coding is generally done with the help of thematic analysis. It's very easy. So eventually you will reach to a point where you are relatively confident of your coding structure, and you start seeing what are the themes and sub themes. There is a procedure in thematic. You try to find out the sub themes and then themes, and then you know how to organize your data. And even there are n number of software packages which are there: NVivo, QSR, Nude.ist, the ethnographic, it's the ethnograph itself. There are a lot of softwares which are available through which the qualitative data can be analyzed as well. Like you will be putting the keywords over there, and the keyword analysis could be there with the help of those softwares. Even whenever the companies or the researchers do the bibliometric analysis, so generally NVivo is used for the bibliometric analysis. So how to get work with the qualitative data, these are the software packages which are generally used by the researchers. Now there is a question which is being asked to me yesterday, that emic and ethic perspective. So there is one thing which is to be very clear. EMIC is something which is based on the insider's point of view. Insider point of view means you are not taking help from any external factor. You are not taking help from any theoretical perspective, understanding, or the conceptual understanding. You try to understand the things from your own point of view. So if I am just going to understand that when the people are living under poverty, what is their feeling? So there is already a concept to understand the need hierarchy, Maslow's. So if I am trying to understand the poverty of the people with the point of view that are you able to get the physiological needs of yours complete or not? Once you get the chapati or get the shelter or get the clean air for a day, do you think about social relationship? Do you think about self esteem? Do you think about self actualization? So if I'm following that one, that means I'm taking the help of some theoretical understanding, some theories I'm trying to get it relate, which is not happening in the emic perspective. So emic perspective is generally entered where we are not biased with any theory. We are trying to understand the things with my own point of view. I'm trying to understand the things which is basically talking about what is my point of view, not anybody else. So even few ethnographic researchers do one thing. They try to take the help of the other researchers. For an example, if in this workshop there are 5 researchers who are presenting, and I have been asked to address one slide, and this is my first time, for an example, when I am addressing the slide, I am making a call to some other researcher and asking that researcher, sir, this is my first time, will you please tell me how to present it? That means I am taking the help of other researchers. I am taking the help of other observers. Emic perspective says you are not supposed to take help from anyone. Use your insider point of view. Ethics says the researcher looks for the things from the distance. And this is generally happens. You are just observing things, you are maintaining a physical distance, but you give more preference to the theoretical framework. So for an example, if there is a equity theory, or for an example, if there is a x and y theory, so whatever the variables are used in those theories to understand the mindset of the employees, yeah, UG Z theory, there could be a number of theories to understand the employee's mindset. So I know the variables. Now my focus, I'm very much focused to collect the data restricted to those variables, because those variables are guiding me, those theories are guiding me. So I am guided by those theories, I am guided by those theoretical perspective, conceptual perspective, and this is somehow called the ethic perspective of the study. So emic perspective, where it is like insider's point of view, and ethic is outsider's point of view. So in emic, we are not taking help from any observer from the outside. We are not taking help from the conceptual or the theoretical understanding, although in the ethnographic research that is not possible. It is not possible that we will behave like a very blank personality. If we are knowledgeable, if we have read many books, if we have addressed many theories in past, if we have addressed different perspective to writing different kind of research papers, it is not possible to present yourself as a blank person somehow. And that is the reason all the ethnographic research is a combination of emic and ethic. It can't be purely emic or ethic. Now, as I have already explained you the time sampling, the data collection strategy that involves noting and recording the occurrence of a target behavior whenever it is seen during a stated time interval. Let me just tell you once more. Time sampling means this is generally happens in the management study. We are not supposed to stay back with the respondents. We are taking some time slot in a day. But do remember one thing: as an ethnographic researcher, researchers try to collect the data on a daily basis. I have given you the example yesterday, the cyclical effects. So if you are collecting data only on Monday, the Tuesday could be a different one. The Wednesday could be a different one. So try to take some hours in a day at least. And during that hours, observe the people for certain seconds or certain minutes. So maybe when you are observing the person for 30 minutes, every after 1 minute, you will be observing the person for 10 seconds or 20 seconds. This is called a time sampling, which I will be showing you in the next research papers. Now, there is one thing which I want to show you, that most of the researchers are using grounded theory. So there is one paper, there is one note. The paper is very old, and I think that paper was published in 1980s somehow. That more than 3,000 citations are there in that paper. And that paper talks about that all the ethnographic researchers, most of the time, whenever they are doing the theory building, they take the help of grounded theory in ethnography. So grounded theory tells us certain principles and procedures, and if as an ethnographer we follow those principles, we follow those conditions, we will be able to come up with the theory formulation. So, like, if you could see that what actions are being attended, what are the different context, record whatever you could see and what is happening, why it is happening, identify the different conditions under which the observations are taking place, try to find out the different ways to interpret the data, focus on specific words, finding taken for granted. So these are certain things which are needed to be followed, which are the part of grounded theory. I have just highlighted few things into this. I would like to show you that this particular paper talks about, if you just read it, ethnographers who leave data undigested seldomly produce fresh insights and sometimes may not even complete their projects despite years of toil. So it is not possible that when you are giving a lot of time, then only you are supposed to give something valuable, as I said initially. Sometimes, without giving so much time, if you are able to understand the culture, the fresh insights can come at that particular time as well. And even if you have completed 1 year, there is no guarantee that the people are going to ask you or you are able to give something very new. Now, there are certain connections. Ethnographers can make connections between events by using grounded theory to study process. So, what you are supposed to do as an ethnographic researcher, which will help you in theory building. Remember one thing always: most of the time, the ethnographer researchers for the theory building use this particular grounded theory. And what this theory says, you should always compare data with data from the beginning of the research, not after all the data are collected. I think this point is being very much clear to you. I've tried to make this point very clear, that try to compare the data after certain intervals. Don't analyze the data once all the data is completed. In between, when you are analyzing or when you are just seeing that after 1 week when the data is collected, Data is much more authentic. So compare data with the data from the beginning of the research. Compare data with the emerging categories, as I told you. In second month, when you try to find out certain keywords, certain categories, when you try to put that data in a certain performer, the keywords are different. So whatever the keywords you were able to find out in first month data, and if those keywords are not synchronized with the second month data, try to see what is the difference to demonstrate relationship between concepts and categories. So whatever the concepts are there, whatever the categories you are able to find out in the literature review, try to keep the relationship between the concepts which are there in the literature review and whatever categories are being found out through you. Now, grounded theory methods move ethnographic research towards theoretical development by raising description to abstract categories and theoretical interpretations. As I said to you, if you follow the principles of grounded theory, it will definitely help you in making the theoretical development. Because earlier, what happened that ethnographic researchers were not taking these two things simultaneously. What they were doing, they were initially trying to collect the data, and once the data is being collected, then they start analyzing. So there is a big separation. Now, ethnographic research says once the data is collected, don't wait for that. During the data collection, try to analyze it, and then automatically things will improve. It says or talks about open-ended approach to study the empirical world, yet add rigor to ethnographic research by building semantic checks into the both data collection and analysis. So empirically, the data will be collected. Definitely, we are collecting the primary data. So all the data which are being collected, try to analyze it simultaneously. This is the main theme, whenever the main point in the ethnographic research. Now, there is one more point which says that a competent ethnographic study demands time and commitment. Grounded theory can help you trim excess work, but if you are not able to work out on the core tasks which are being mentioned by the grounded theory, you will not be able to create any kind of theory formulation. You will not be able to give contribute anywhere. So gathering research ethnographic data means starting by engaging the studied phenomena, get involved with the people. So grounded theory doesn't say that I will help you in cut short the data. No, the process could be cut short, but you have to follow the process in an exact form, whatever the form is being explained by the grounded theory, and the core tasks are to be done. Then only there are the chances that there could be something new that could be contributed by you in the social perspective. So I'll share this grounded theory construction like on the basis of many ethnographic researchers theories and papers. They generally say or start their paper writing that they will be doing the theoretical formulation construction on the basis of grounded theory of the ethnography. This is one of the very famous term. Now till now I think there are certain things which are made very clear into your mind that what is ethnographic research, how do we follow the ethnographic research, who could be the participant in our ethnographic research. Now there is one thing which I have taken from one paper and which will make you understand that there is one example, and this is very famous case: science education in urban settings seeking new ways of praxis through critical ethnographic. So what are the new practices? So new ways of praxis means new ways of practices through critical ethnographic. So what they have done, this paper is written in 2001, and this paper is able to help us the difference between the questionnaire, ethnographic research, and interrogation. There are three things. First, the observant pattern as a participant observer. Second, you are following the pattern of questionnaire, or third, you will be doing a kind of interrogation. So I have taken a very small example. uh, the study is all about knowing whether in urban schools science education is going well or not. So to understand whether the students love science education or not, or the the teachers of the schools are attempting 100% to make the students understand about the science education. So basically this particular framework has been followed of ethnography to understand that how to observe or how to conduct a semi structured or informal session with the students. So they have taken or they have collected data from two students, Maria and Claudia. First of all, you will be asking as a researcher about the person, that what is the feeling of that person about the school and what is your basic background. So when the data is collected from the Maria has told a very normal thing. I'm just going to read it out, only the first paragraph for all of you, so that we will be able to relate it later on. That my name is Maria and I am 9 year old. I am in fourth grade. I have lived with my family in Wellspringers for 5 years. Before moving to Wellspring, I lived in Mexico. Most of my family still lives in Mexico, but some of my family lives here in Wellsprings with me. Right now, my family lives in a homeless shelter. We have lived here for 1 year. We used to live in apartment. I have lots of friends to play with here. I don't like living here when it gets dark outside. It's not safe. I also do not like it when boys think they are better than me, or when they think I cannot do all of the same things as them. I only like school sometimes. I like school when we get to party and say whatever we want. I also like school because I can see my friends. I do not like school when my teacher is mean to me, which is most of the time it happens. I don't like science. I definitely hate art. My teacher always picks on me. Now, when you see this kind of response, there are few things which can only be expressed with somebody when I'm very close to somebody. The student was able to heart out everything. There are certain sentences, there are certain words. It's not safe. The boys think that they are better than me. So, when you are interviewing with somebody at a first glance, I don't think so that anybody who is a respondent who will be able to give me the responses in that way. So whenever you are able to read the responses, you must have recording the responses as well. Either you are recording or either you are just noting some statements in your own understanding. If suppose this question has not been asked after 1 month, and at a very first glance, when I'm asking the Maria to introduce themselves, the Maria must be saying that I am Maria, I'm living with my parents, I lived in Mexico, most of my family members lived in Mexico. Now, this kind of interpretation is only possible when you are involved, when you have created a repo. Otherwise, it is not possible that this kind of explanation will come to you. Now, the same kind of explanation is given by the Claudia as well. Now, when we are saying in ethnographic research that you are supposed to compare the data or the analysis of data, not after the data collection, you keep on analyzing the data. If you are talking to a person maybe in a first month, and suppose we are let me just come to the example once again. Wait. Yes. So suppose in a very first month, when the data is being collected, and when I'm going to see the data in the second month, you could see that there is a difference in the openness of the student. Now there is a second question which you are asking. Now understand the intricacy of the questions which you are asking. All the questions will not look like as the questionnaire, neither nor it will look like a interrogation. Now, as I have said, ethnographic research should always be open ended, and it should always be a iterative process. So the next question should be related with the first one. Now, as we do remember that the student has said they do not like school, they do not want to go to school, they just want to go to school to meet their friends. So what is the question in being asked to both of them? You say that you do not like school because it is boring, that your teachers are mean. What about science? What do you do in school science? Do you enjoy it? I think by reading the first paragraph, you understand what should be the formation of the second question. And that is one of the important part that has to be done when you are talking to your respondents. If I am talking to my respondent, and if I am asking the person that, are you feeling okay, the person is saying me something else. Now my second question is, how did you feel? uh, yeah, my second question may not be regarded with the feeling, it will be something else. My first question was, how did you feel and when you are in school, and the second question will be, how did your parents behave with you? That means I did not hear, I have not been paying attention to the respondent. As I have said yesterday, the respondent should feel that they are being heard all the time, and if you will listen to them, you will be able to frame the questions very soon. Now, when this question is asked, the Marie and Claudia said, okay, we want to tell about science in school. Actually, when Angie asked to write a story, we did not want it to be about science in school. The truth is we really do not like science. Our favorite subjects are maths and reading. We are going to call our story El Secreto de Las Ninas. इसका मतलब होता है, ये एक डिफरेंट लैंग्वेज का वर्ड है. इसका मतलब है कि द सीक्रेट ऑफ मारिया एंड क्लॉडिया. मतलब ये दोनों लड़कियों का कोई सीक्रेट है कि ये बताएंगी नहीं कि साइंस क्यों नहीं अच्छी लगती है या क्या रीजन है साइंस ना अच्छे लगने के पीछे. बिकॉज we are not used to science. Sometimes when we complain about science in school, people think we do not like it because we are girls. But this is not true. They tell us we can be anything we want to be. We know that we are just as good as boys. We just do not want to explain our reasons. It's a secret. Now, when you have asked them that why you did not like science, they again did not tell you why they are not liking science. Because they are again considering it to be a very secret thing. Still, the intimacy is not so close. You are not very close to that respondent. Still, a lot of rapport is to be maintained to take the right review that why that those children are not liking the science. Now, again, the question should be framed on the answer of the second one. Now the question is framed, your secret is interesting, but what do you mean by not being used to something? Does it mean that your school teacher never teaches science and so you were not used to having science? Does it mean that when your teacher did teach science, you were not used the topics she talked about, the words she used, or the way she taught it? So now the different kind of responses are given by Mari and Claudia. They are more opened up. They have given one real picture what is all being happened in the science class because of which they were not liking science. But not liking science and with the reason. That was the main thing which is to be explored by the ethnographic researcher. So, with the framing of the questions and framing on the questions on the basis of the response which the respondents have given, you have to show them that you are hearing them carefully, and then only you will be able to get the right thing. Now, in the same paper, okay, that's all from the same paper. I just want to tell you that the difference between the participant observant and the interrogation. Now, the paper which I was supposed to discuss with you, Ethnographic Inquiry in Psychology, that paper was written by Kumar Ravi Priya and Gireshwar Mishra ji. Uh, that paper is being uh, the kind of ethnographic research is being conducted to experience one thing. So, first of all, understood the objective of this ethnographic research. When you read this first highlighted area, Kumar Ravi Priya, during their ethnographic study of the experiences of suffering and healing of the survivors of an earthquake. So their main research is to understand what is the suffering of themselves when the earthquake was there, what were the different kind of harms they have faced, and how they were able to heal up from the sufferings as a survivor of an earthquake. Now, going to the background of the earthquake, we could see that there is an intense earthquake measuring 6.9 Richter scale struck Gujarat state, India on 26 January. 13,881 human lives were lost in the entire state of Gujarat, out of which 12,221 deaths occurred in Kutch district alone. Now, the study is all about this. Now, the yes. Now, the ethnographer, because again, ethnographic has their roots in anthropology. They are supposed to closely observe, record, and they have to become the part of their daily life. If you read this highlighted area, this is the reference which is taken from the Marcus and Fisher. And they says that ethnography as a research process in which the anthropologist closely observe, records, and engages in daily life another culture, an experience labeled as the fieldwork method, and then writes accounts of this culture emphasizing descriptive details. Now, yes, now, what happened when the ethnographic researcher have used the purposive sampling. I think everybody must be clear about the purposive sampling. This is the kind of non-probability sampling where you try to collect the data from the units which are having the common characteristics. But ये आपकी रैंडम सैम्पलिंग या क्या कहते हैं, ये हमारा जो है रैंडम सैम्पलिंग का पार्ट नहीं है, इट्स नॉन रैंडम सैम्पलिंग का पार्ट है, पर्पसिव सैम्पलिंग है. We deliberately take the samples, we deliberately take those units which are having the same characteristics. So ethnographic researchers wants to talk to the people who are the survivors somehow. So they themselves have created a sample size of 5 to 12, maybe talking to the 60 or 100 people, but they have created a small samples of 6 to 12. So they will be talking in groups. Now what happened during the initial few days when they were there in the village, whenever those people, as the ethnographic researchers, are being seen by the children in the playground or in the road, they start shouting, "Ah, Dilli wala chi," or "Dilli wala avi gayo," like these. They were not accepting them. They were not interested to talk to them initially. So the researchers were like feeling agitated initially, that how to talk to those people, and it is very tough to talk to them. What are the possibilities to collect data from them? So what they have decided, they have requested to the principal of the high school that kindly allow us to take few classes every day in your school. So when we will start talking to the students, automatically we will be get in touch with the parents. So the acceptance is being given by the principal, and they were allowed to take the classes of mathematics and English in the standard 8th and 9th. So by which the feedback, whatever the feedback is given from the students, they were able to make their parents understand that they are the good people. And later on, they all are called Sahib rather than Dilli Wala. Because in Gujarat, the respect in the form of Sahib is being given. It's a kind of suffix which is added on after the name if you want to give respect to somebody. So these are some kind of challenges. When we talk about ethnographers, these are some challenges which are to be overcome by yourself only. There could be a chances that you may not feel comfortable and you can left the ground, you can left the field. But rather than leaving the field, you try to accept this. You have been with the people, you try to find out the different ways through which you can have a relationship with the students, and this is just a way to get the connectivity of their parents as well. So these are the challenges which are faced now. When the this is the main important thing of this paper, that when they were trying to formulate the objective of their study, before formulating the objective or before formulating the methodology, they have conducted a certain semi-structured interviews, and they were just trying to observe the mindset of the people. So there is a semi-structured interview addressing major objective of the study of one key respondent. Try to understand this in detail. There is one priest of that particular village called Vittal Das Baba. So they have conducted the semi-structured interview with him, as well as all the adult members of the family. And deliberately, there are few things which are kept in mind, that these are the families where at least one death had occurred due to the earthquake. So the participant observation is done with those kind of people. Now, a silent pattern was observed when this kind of interview is conducted. There is a pattern which was observed, that they all believe in karma, and they think that there is one death happens because they have that was a part of their destiny. So their belief in karma, like whatever they have done, this is a result of that. And generally this is not followed by the family. There are two kind of families: one where there is one death had been taken place, and the another family where there is no death, where there is no death. So the families where is only the families where one death had been taken place, they were saying that this is the part of their karma. And the families where there is no death, they have some material destructions in their mind. So they were not following the karma concepts. Right. Now, a focus now. That was the one interview. Now, the second interview is a focus group discussion among the adult members of the family where no death had been occurred. Now, the second kind of interview is being conducted where there are no death, and the researcher want to understand the experiences of the suffering and healings, and he just want to get the feedback. Are they also believe in karma where there is no death? And what he was able to find out, that most of the participants in the discussion expressed the natural disaster that have been hitting Kutch. So, where there is no death, they were saying that it is just a natural disaster, and we all are become self-centered. We are not taking care of the nature. So, those group of people who were taking more relief material, they were saying that there were the families who were taking more relief material, because when there was an earthquake, a lot of relief material is being executed to help people by the government. So they were also saying that it also matters whether you are taking the needed things or much, or you are taking things which are not needed by you. So if you are taking more relief material, then there could be a chances that some natural disaster will again take place in future. So the thinking pattern is different between two kind of groups: one, the death has taken place, and the second, where though there is no death. Now, the third interview is being conducted, semi-structured interviews being conducted with the experienced people of Kutch. Experienced people may be experienced in age, experienced in profession. They were the social workers who could understand the psychological point of view of the people before the earthquake and after the earthquake. So the interviews conducted with them, and they have said that, and they were somehow, they are also into the process that they were agreeing that all those survivors were influenced by the belief of karma. So they were just focusing on those points, and they were also very adamant that yes, where there is one death had been taken place, this is the natural thing that people will be following the karma and blaming to their karmas as well. Now, a salient pattern emerged out of these interviews, that generally the lives of rural people were guided by the belief in karma, and the people who are living in urban area, their belief was guided by materialistic goals in life. So these were the two conclusions which have come now. Based on all the focus group interviews, semi-structured interviews, what is now researchers' question? What researchers wants to do now? There is an attempt which was made to understand the process of suffering and healing among the survivors of an urban earthquake affected area, where presumably lives of people were not guided by karma philosophy. To achieve this goal, this is a kind of hypothesis which are being framed. To achieve this goal, a study was planned with the help of semi-structured interview of about 20 such families where death had occurred, and focus group discussions among local people actively engaged in the process of rehabilitation of their town. So these are the pattern which are followed by the ethnographer researchers to understand the people mindset. Now, the Now, again, you could see here example of analysis through construction grounded theory approach. So, even this in this particular paper, for the theory formulation, they have taken the help of construction grounded theory approach, and with the help of this theory, whatever the observations are made, initial coding begin with line by line, and incident to incident coding of the research narratives, and notes taken about participants' observation. The process gradually led them. Now, whatever the observations are being made, on the basis of observation, the coding is being done. And what was the subcategories and categories of the coding? Let me just show you. There were certain uh, sub themes and themes which has come up, and those themes were, for example, he developed the focused code guilt associated with death into the subcategory, and the category was guilt, right? And let me just show you, they have created one table onto this which says that these are the three sub themes and themes which were there: guilt associated with the family's member death, and guilt over departed soul's unfulfilled wishes. तो दो तरीके की गिल्ट थी लोगों के माइंड में, पहली कि हमारे परिवार का एक मेंबर चला गया, और दूसरा कि हम उस परिवार के मेंबर की कोई इच्छा पूरी नहीं कर पाए. देयर वाज अ गिल्ट ऑफ दैट आल्सो, that the departed soul wishes were not fulfilled. So these were the categories and the theories, we can say, the certain things which are being emerged during the data collection, during the observations which are done. So these are certain categories, the definition and indicators are given. So somehow, when you start following, observing the people, whatever the observations you are getting based on the grounded theory, follow all the principles of grounded theory, and whatever the new constructs and new things come up, you are supposed to add on these things in the form of literature review, so that the people will be using your ethnographic research. And if the research is being done for 10 years, 20 years, and if you are able to validate the research, that could also contribute into the new theory formulation, which is generally happens during the exploratory research. And ethnographic research is a part of exploratory research as well. Now, there is a second example. This is a second paper. This paper is published in 2023, understanding of children and young people's experience of extended school non-attendance, like the children was not attending the school. So regarding that, the ethnographic research is being done. So what they have done now, this is the another pattern. As I have said you, no study can be emic and ethic. So what this researcher has done, they have initially screened 30 papers, and then based on those 30 papers, they have put some kind of checks and balances, and after putting those checks and balances, they have finally taken 10 papers, and all those 10 papers reviews were done. So let me just show you what process they have followed. This is the iteration process which is being mentioned, that how they were able to initially get the papers, and then they got 887 paper, then retrieve, certain checks are being put, and then finally they were able to see the review of 10 papers. So what they have done, they have conducted a literature review. In literature review, they were able to just find out few things. So now when you will start observing the data, you are able to validate the data with the help of literature review as well. This could be one of the important approach in the ethnographic research. So what they have done, what has actually happened into this study, let me just show you. Yes, earlier what was happening, that the youth, the adults were not interested to respond, but when they spend time with the adult students, they have tried to spend some time with the youth, they were also participated. So apart the children, young people also participated into the research. And what was the conclusion? Yes, now this is the conclusion which you will understand, that through this synthesis and overarching higher order concept was developed. So I think this statement makes you very clear that after conducting the ethnographic research, whatever is not there into the literature review, these things are being there. Now, what is the difference? Let me just show you one thing. The difference was, there is one thing. Yes, when they have been with the literature review, all those 10 papers have given some reasons of non-attendance, like the relationship with peer group. If the relationship with the peer group is not good, the students are not interested to go to the school. Inconsistent relationship with the support from adults, negative experiences of school transition, negative experience of learning in school. So there were certain things which were there in the literature review, but when the author has conducted the ethnographic research, there were certain different things which were found in the form of different coding and concluded. Extended school non-attendance needs appear to arise from a reduced sense of belonging. That means the students were not able to get a sense of belonging with the school. They were just losing that sense of belonging. That is why they were not interested to go to the school. Often relating to cumulative, वो धीरे धीरे accumulate होती चली गई that feeling. Intersecting difficulties within the physical and social school environment. The students were not happily participating with the physical and social environment, and they themselves have created certain kind of belief about attendance. So these are some new things which are observed, and by with the help of these things, if this kind of study is being persistent, you know, for 1 year, 2 year, 3 or 5 years, that will definitely help in contributing into the theory building. But initially, the researchers wants to work with the theoretical framework. They prepare one theoretical framework with the help of these new constructs, these new variables, after validating it with the observance or maybe with the existing literature. And if the ethnographic research do work for a longer period of time, like if I talk about Hawthorne experiment, that experiment took a very long period to understand the employee's relevance. The illumination experiment itself, ठीक है, bank wiring room experiment, and then this kind of theory is being created. So initially the theoretical framework is being created, and if this goes successful after collecting and analyzing the data, later on after continuing in that form, the theories could also be created with the help of ethnographic researchers in exploratory study. So these were the few papers which I just wanted to discuss with you all. I think that's all from my side. Now, I would like to give 5 to 10 minutes to you all. If you want to ask me anything, you can. That's all from my side. Yes, anybody. Shazia ma'am, Hari Babu ji, Partho ji, Gokul ji, Aishwarya Samal ma'am, Ritu ma'am. So anyone who wants to ask me anything, Binu ma'am.
Ma'am, would we getting these PPT which you
Yes,
have shared?
yes. I'll share with you. I'll share with you. I'll share all the papers.
Otherwise it was wonderful. So you have given a new perspective, because we are from different schools of research, so obviously it has given a new insight. So this was especially for rural marketing, like since I am from marketing, so I'm thinking from the point of rural marketing, because when
Yes,
we
yes.
go to the rural market, it's very difficult to get quantified data. So it's more on the participant observation, it's more by observation, but the way
And
you
what we generally do, we try to create a questionnaire on a 7 point Likert scale, because in
yeah,
that situation we think that the 7 point Likert scale, questionnaire will be much more helpful to get the deeper insights of the people.
yeah,
But to understand a particular culture, to understand the people, because even when I have collected data for the self-help groups, I know that the people were not able to give me the true data. So whatever the reports are being asked by the NABARD, we were able to deliver it. We delivered it. But if I'm asking something that, are you happy with your family? And especially when we are asking these questions in the group, and suppose there are 5 to 6 ladies in a group, they will not be telling me the real situation or the real circumstances. I have to observe all those things by spend time with them on a regular basis.
very right, ma'am. And sometimes when we go with some structured questionnaire, many times people don't able to understand. Although we try to make it with their level, their surroundings, and all that,
And that is why I
somehow,
have, yes, I have shown in the questionnaire also, na, that
yeah,
how the questions are to be framed. It should always be semi-structured. Just frame 1 or 2 questions and then try to derive the questions from the responses of the respondent.
yeah, maybe from the probing, whenever we are
Yes,
discussing, so out of the probing, we can have more questions on that, and it can be
yes.
recorded, and then we can design the transcript from that.
Yes, yes.
I think that's wonderful, ma'am. We would be really thankful if you could share those papers also, because they will help us in writing how to present. Because doing research and after doing, I think presenting is the biggest challenge which I'm
Yes.
facing, because I am doing some work, but somehow how to present. When I go, I get a lot of insight, but how to present those insight, that is what is a little challenge I am facing. So I think that help would be really great for us. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Anything else? No questions. Yes, Gopalji. Yes.
Madam, it's very useful, very
Gopalji,
nice.
your voice is not clear. I can't listen you.
Madam, now it's fine. Now is that okay?
Yes, it's okay. I'm trying to listen. Yes, please.
Madam, the session is very useful, very nice, and so much of learning happened. But I have a small question.
Yes.
Yesterday also, yesterday we were talking about we'll go to a mall and we observe people, okay,
Hmm.
and we want to know how they behave, how they react, how they purchase, how all that. And today also we are talking about that. The same manner we were talking about in a management college, when a camera is there, when a person joined newly, and he will not behave naturally, he will behave artificial. The same manner, when we observe the people in a mall, if they found that somebody is observing me, they will not behave properly, right? Now we get the data.
Sir, as I said to you, if you are going to collect the data for 1 day or 2 days in a month, you will always get the artificial kind of observation. You have to take the permission from the respondent that you want to spend time every day or on every incident. Whenever you will go for the shopping, you will give me 30 minutes or 15 minutes time. Otherwise, it is not possible to conduct the ethnographic research. We can work on the time sampling. If you have listened to me, I think I have mentioned one kind of time sampling. So you are not supposed to give, you are not supposed to be with the respondent every time. They won't allow you. Even I won't allow somebody to accompany me with my all shopping journey. So the ethnographic researcher can work on the time sampling. They can ask like for 15 minutes, maybe during the shopping, can I accompany you for the 15 minutes? And in that 15 minutes, you have to decide that what will be your observation point of view. Like every after 2 minutes, you will be observing that person for 10 seconds. And that should be done on a regular basis. If we are going to do this for 1 day, 2 day, or maybe once in a month, it is not going to work out. So if the person is going out for the shopping thrice in a week or twice in a week, take the permission from them that you want to observe them, because then only somehow you will be able to crack the right point. Otherwise, it will always be the artificial observation.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So if there is nothing, let me just inform to sir. I think we should wind it up now. Just wait a minute. Yes, sir. And I'm just sharing in the text box my email ID. So in case if they anyone wants to ask me anything, they can also be in touch with me. So I'll share with you, sir. Otherwise, you have to add me in the admin rights. I'll share the PPT and I'll share the papers as well. Just give me the admin rights as well. And the book.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.